Hello YouTube coin collectors and stackers. Today I'm going to be sharing some of the things I picked up at a local coin show yesterday. But before we do, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. So let's dive right into what I got. So I was at the local coin show yesterday. I was looking for some specific things, particularly a nickel, which we'll look at a little later on, to complete my gem and choice Jefferson nickel set. So we'll look at that one in a moment. But let's start with some commemoratives. So I just made a video recently about my commemorative collection where I shared the collection with everybody. So I'll post the link to that commemorative video if you'd like to learn more about commemorative, classic commemorative half dollars. I'll post that down in the description. But here's one I picked up yesterday. This is your San Diego 1936 Denver. You can see this is a gem coin, and this is just dripping with luster. It's a beautiful gem coin. So you had about 180,000 of these. You can see what I paid for it. I actually paid a little less than that for it. But I had one of these. I sold it because, in particular, sometimes what you'll see on these is a very weak strike up through here. And I wanted something that was better struck. So I sold that one. And so I was able to upgrade it into this one. And this is right around about a $250 coin. They minted 180,000 of these. But then they went and melted 150,000. So that leaves us with a net of about 30,000 coins. The issue price on this one was $1.50 at the time, and your typical survivors are in this 64 to 66 range. And you know, if you look at these, like in a 65 holder, you got over 4,200 of these in PCGS population report. By the time you jump up to a 67, there's only 138. So obviously a massive condition rarity beyond MS 65, 66. Now what's interesting about this one was, and you can see this is an older holder. Please correct me if I'm misstating this, but I think this is like a Gen 2.2 or somewhere in that time frame for PCGS. So this is really, I think, before they were attributing varieties and things. And it'll be really hard to see here, but in looking at this coin closely under magnification, that D under In God We Trust is definitely double punched. So that's an RPM. So that would bring the value of this coin up, not too much, probably up about $50 or $60 from where it is today. So pick that one up. Very excited about that one. The next one I got is this Grant, no star. There's a much more valuable version of this one with a star on it. But this is a no star. You can see that this is an Unk Details coin, and I really didn't mind picking this one up in Unk Details. So they minted 95,000 or so of these. They melted about 28,000. So your net's somewhere around 67,000. So there's a fair number of these. Many of these actually circulated before 1930. These sort of entered circulation, and folks were just spending them like regular money. I mean, 50 cents was a lot of money in the 1920s to hold on to something. And they didn't start saving them until the 30s. So this coin, what's interesting about this coin is we can see that it's definitely been cleaned. It's very, very lightly cleaned. You have to look at it the exact right angle to see under the exact right lighting to see the cleaning at all. It's since retoned over. There's lots of I'll try to get there, lots of pretty blues you can see and stuff. That's retoned over on this coin. I love the reverse with the trees in this house. And, essentially I picked this one up for $150. And I would argue that this has got gem details. So yes, it's Unk Details, but this is at the super high end of Unk Details. Under a loop at 10x magnification, even less than that, and sometimes with the naked eye, this guy's got dye polishing lines, not cleaning, like dye polishing lines. The kind of dye polishing lines you typically only see on gem or better coins. So to pick up a coin that would normally cost $850 or so, for the price of an AU58 coin because it's got a light cleaning, that's okay with me. I'm very happy with the coin. It's an incredibly attractive coin. You see 175, I actually paid 150 for it. It's an incredibly attractive coin in every regard except for a super, super, super light cleaning. Now we have our Goldbacks. I'll zoom out a little bit and you can see the Goldbacks sitting there. So I don't generally run into Goldbacks out at these coin shows on the West Coast too often. But when I do, I try to pick them up. Let me get this one out of this little flippy thing it's in so we can look at it. The tough part about Goldbacks is And I'll link my Goldback video. I've done some Goldback videos. I'll link them below. Goldbacks are just crazy reflective because they're gold. But these designs are just beautiful for these Oklahoma pieces. I love these designs. So if you watch my other video, again, I'll link it below, I talk about, my perspective on Goldbacks. I think they're wonderful collector's pieces. I think it's a wonderful concept for some sort of a fungible financial instrument that's, backed by real gold. It's in fact made out of 24 karat gold. This one here, this half Goldback, is 1/200th of a troy ounce. And the interesting thing about these Goldbacks, and I'll just kind of flip through the various designs here so you can look at them while I'm talking about them, is that when I started buying Goldbacks, they were trading at 5 times face. So what does that mean? That means that this one Goldback would cost $5. Well, since then, gold's basically doubled. So these Goldbacks yesterday at the show were 9 times face, or at $9 for this one Goldback note, which is 1/1000th, can't talk this morning, of a troy ounce. Now, one of the cool things, if you collect Goldbacks, you'll see on this one is that it's an A series. So that's really cool. This is essentially the first, series of this run of these Oklahoma notes. And people that collect Goldbacks really like to try to get the A series notes. So that was another reason I picked these up as well. Of course, if you look at the gold premium on these, and when I calculated it yesterday, it's about 230% is the premium for a Goldback. So I only really collect these up to about the 10 Goldback note. He didn't have any 10. He had the 25, I think is the next one. To me, if I'm buying a 25 Goldback, I'd rather be buying gold. Again, I talk about that in my other video on Goldbacks. And I'm going to be doing an updated video here shortly on the economics of Goldbacks as well. But that's a beautiful one here with the the Indian mom or the Native American mom and her daughter, and kind of out in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma originally was a gigantic Indian reservation. That's what it was intended to be, for those of you who remember your high school history class. And then the last one I got at this show yesterday was the 5 Goldback. My favorite, of course, is the 5 Goldback with the pirate princess on it from Florida. I think that is the most attractive Goldback they've made to date. But this one actually is really nice too. So this 5 Goldback note is beautiful. So I got those, the half, the 1, the 2, and the 5. Kind of get those lined back up over here so you can continue to admire them. They are very, very pretty pieces, and I do like to collect them. If they, they become some sort of money someday, and and they are in some states, some places do accept them as fungible currency, that would be a very interesting thing. It's early innings with Goldback, so it's going to be anybody's guess what happens with them. But in the meantime, I like to collect them. Next up, we have a 1917S, and that is what I paid for it, $16. 1917S Type 1, and the dealer rated this about good. I think it's a little nicer than that. I would think it's closer to a G4. You basically have a full rim on the back, except at like K1 and K2. So I would put this more at a 4 than a good grade than an AG grade. So that would put this coin closer to $40 in value than $16. So that's why I picked it up. I have a 17S in an AU58 PCGS holder with a full head. So I don't need this for my typeset or my collection. So this one will get listed somewhere around $40 is what this one would be worth in that regard. So moving on to one of the things I was hunting for, it was this 1954 Denver D nickel Jefferson. And the dealer who I bought this from, I really trust his grading. He's got a great eye, so he put this at a 64. Obviously, it's not a holder. It's going to go in my Intercept Shield book. And this coin completes my collection of choice and gem Jefferson nickels for my Intercept Shield book. And at the end, we're going to go ahead and put that in the book, and we can look at my Jefferson nickel book. So we'll save that one for the end. If you're not interested in Jefferson nickels, you don't need to stick around for it. Then, as always, I go around and I try to find, these Colombian half dollars and things like this. And, because of what's going on with silver, like this one was below melt. But these I'll do some restoration work. They'll clean up nicely. And I know a lot of dealers have trouble selling these. I really don't. These move pretty fast on my store, so I pick them up when I can, and so I get them to my customers. Another, Booker T. Washington, below melt yesterday. This one's a little bit rougher shape. It actually, definitely circulated. And then we have ones a little nicer here in an AU. So these will all go up on the site here in the next couple of days. Last but not least, the crown jewel of what I picked up yesterday, if you've been eyeballing it there over the side, is this lovely 1881 Carson City. And you see I wrote down there in blue ink there, 296K minted. It's a very common coin, and if we look across the mintages of Carson Cities, this is among the lowest. It's one of the rarest Morgan dollars, particularly Carson City Morgan dollars, you can find in worn grades, as most of these were just essentially stored in bank vaults until the 70s and 60s. So it's considered by some in the hobby to be the highest grade Morgan, the highest quality Morgan, the best struck Morgan of all the Morgan dollars. So, you can debate in the comments below, but that is essentially what some in the hobby feel, that Carson City did the best job in 1881 with this one. Now, it could be, they had a lower mintage, so they could focus more on it. And you'll see that proof-like surfaces are common. This one's got nice frosted devices on Liberty, and particularly when we flip it over, beautifully frosted on the eagle and the reef and those sorts of things. Back in the 70s, when they were they were distributing these out, and then they found 150,000 of these in bags. It was 50% essentially of the original mintage they found in bags, and this stuff was all essentially handed over to the General Services Administration, or GSA, to put out in the 70s and 80s. So imagine, half the mintage was essentially in these kind of like MS 64, 63, 65 kind of grades when they released it all, which is why this is such a common coin. Despite the incredibly low mintage, almost all of them survived in an uncirculated grade. So if we look at across the Morgan dollar spectrum, the 1885 Carson City was 228K minted, so that was a fair bit lower. The 1889 Carson City, which is considered a key date, had 350,000 minted, so a fair bit more than this one. Yet a coin in this grade, and the dealer I bought this from puts this at a 64. I'm going to send this to PCGS. We'll see if they agree. I agree. I think it's a 4 coin, but we'll see. This coin, if it were a Carson City from 1889, would be over $100,000. So, even though, the mintage really was only about 50,000 different. And then we get into the 1890s, and particularly that toughest year if you're a Morgan dollar collector would be the 1893, where we have the S, which is 100,000 minted. But even the P had almost 400,000 minted, and the O had 300,000 minted. So again, all, this is down there in the lowest. And the Carson City in 1893 was the most plentiful, with 677,000 minted. And then we all know the toughest of all would be get your hands on an 1895 Philly, because they only made proofs, and they only made a few of those, like 100 or something crazy that year. Well, they made 400,000 of the New Orleans and the San Francisco that year. But this is my crown jewel of the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm going to zoom out here real quick, and we're going to do a little ceremony. Let me move these coins out of the way, except for that one. We'll keep that one there. And I'm going to, I'll put those Goldbacks back later. We don't need this here anymore, or this, or this. We'll get this out of the way. Okay. So here is my Intercept Shield book. If you're a, sorry about that. Let me zoom out. So Intercept Shield book, if you know about these books, the Intercept Shield technology intercepts things that might tone your coins or otherwise make them less attractive, depending upon your stance on toning. We all have sort of different takes on it. So in my case, I have this beautiful choice gem book I've been putting together for a few years, that I pick these up as I go from dealers at shows. I'm pretty picky. I'm looking for some semblance of steps or full steps if I can get it. Although I don't necessarily need to have full steps on all of these, because, it is a book. And ultimately, I will joke that, when I pass away at some point and my kids get this book, they're going to take it to a dealer. He's going to go, it's a nice book of nickels, and that's going to be about it. Oh, you got some silver ones in there. But these are all choice and gem. Many of them have full steps or nice strikes on them. And so the one last hole we had, you can see right there, is that 44D. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in there, and we will call it for the Jefferson choice and gem set, if I can get this out of here. And you got to be careful, you guys, if you don't take these out. These staples can really harm your coins. I've seen some dealers will kind of go around there with something to cut it out. So I pull them out like this and like this. Really carefully, I hold the nickel. Then I bend that all the way back so that I avoid doing what I often call a staplectomy, which would be running that staple right across your coin and ruining it. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing this monumental moment in my Jefferson nickel journey, and I hope to see you guys all soon. Happy collecting.